The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Hearthside Bank and by Madisonville Marine.
The worst thing that can happen is this guy coming here and wins, and with that kind of attitude that he has, you might get a flag playing in the middle of the field, and now you got a big issue.
When you watch all 22 of Vanderbilt, he'll be the only guy on the field running a choice route. So you'll see him kind of run a crossing route, break completely out of seagrass, break completely off of his route.
That, to me, gives Vanderbilt that little bit of an edge over what Tennessee's got.
You got to make this game personal. I mean, you got to take in all those comments that he made in the offseason, everything that's still being said, the Vanderbilt fans that have come out of the woodworks that are now fully supporting the Commodores. You take that personal if you're a Tennessee football player and you say, no, we're in this conversation now.
He thinks that Vanderbilt's going to change the looks defensively and do a little bit of everything, go from one front to another.
You also need to make sure when he does the run the ball, and I don't know if Tennessee has this guy, make him feel it.
That's it, most definitely.
I am going to go under.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. We are here to get you ready for the biggest Tennessee Vanderbilt game in history. I mean, there's no doubt about it, guys. When you look at the rankings, Tennessee, Vanderbilt come into this the first time both of them have been ranked. It's pretty amazing that you've got this kind of a matchup. I'm John Pennington, joined by VFL Ollie Lane, VFL Marlon Walls. Our friend John Wilkerson is out. He's been out this week in Las Vegas calling Vol basketball games, so he's not with us today. As we get in, he's probably already doing leftovers on the turkey. So want to start with the segment we call Setting the Stage. It's brought to you by our friends at Hearthside Bank. Boy, they do a tremendous job. They've got banks in Kentucky, Tennessee. They've been around for 105 years. They support this show, they support my Sunday show, and they support the Sports Source Digital Network. And folks, I can tell you, if you want to deal with good people, you check out hearthsidebank.com. Tremendous people to deal with. It's a very personal relationship you get when you deal with Hearthside Bank. All right, let's dive into the numbers here, the facts about this game. Tennessee comes in at 8-3 after a streak-busting win in the Swamp last week. Vols won in a rout, but in a sign of the times, a lot of Vol fans weren't satisfied with the 20-point road win. Go figure. The Vols are number 18 in the latest college football playoff poll. Vanderbilt actually comes in number 12, but they're going to need a win today and a whole lot of help if they are to jump into the playoff picture. They're currently 9-2, and their only losses came at Alabama and at Texas, and there's no shame in either of those losses. Tennessee has won 6 in a row on the field, though a couple of those were vacated in the Jeremy Pruitt scandal. Prior to that, the Commodores had won 3 in a row in the series from 2016 through 2018. Let's get into the matchup. Gentlemen, last week we'd been talking about Tennessee's run game. They need to be more consistent. You need to get that thing cranked up, and they did at Florida. Deshaun Bishop had a big game. Team looked good. Now you're going to face a much tougher run defense than you saw at Florida. Florida gives up about 150 yards on the ground per game. Vandy's about 105. They're top 5 in the SEC in run defense. However, their pass defense is terrible. It's down around the bottom of the league. So my question, Ollie Lane, we wanted them to run more. We wanted them to get a consistent running attack. But it would seem the weak link on that Vanderbilt defense is the pass defense. So how are you approaching this game?
While I still want the run game to be somewhat of an aspect, you got to go with the pass attack. I mean, that's somewhat of what we do best is those deep shots down the field. You get guys open. Not to mention you got 3 wide receivers that are on pace for almost 1,000 yards. I think they all 3 have over 700 at this point. So that's your strong suit. You got a guy like Ethan Davis that's now really coming on as his own at the tight end position. You attack him with the passing game. I think what you understand in this one, in the Florida game, you could run the ball, eat the clock, because you knew that their offense wasn't going to be able to score with you. There's a difference in this one. That Vanderbilt offense has the capability of scoring and scoring a lot of points fast. I mean, especially you look at the Texas loss. I mean, they were down somewhere around 30 at halftime and then came all the way back to make it within – I think they had an opportunity to win that game at the end. So I think Tennessee knows that. They know we're going to have to put points on the board. And the best way we put points on the board is hitting those deep shots and hitting the air raid as fast as we can.
Yeah, the problem is I'm worried about this being a shootout because Diego Pavia is a heck of a gunslinger. I don't want to get in the shootout with a gunslinger. At the same time, if their strength is their run defense, I don't know that you can go into this and play ball control and keep him off the field.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you could, but that's going to be a bigger challenge for Tennessee. How are you approaching this game today, Marlon?
Man, what I would say is I'm thinking of the most demoralizing thing, right? When we sit in that meeting on Sunday, I want those Vanderbilt guys, right? They're going to bring up, hey, run defense is our strength. These guys ran the ball all over us. Now, I think that's your plan going in. If you can't do it, now you know I got to lean on my wide receivers in our passing game. But because it's that rivalry, Diego Pavia, all the talking, all the conversation around this game, if I'm Tennessee, I'm approaching this thing with, hey, Bishop, Star Thomas, I'm getting my horses ready to go. Their run defense is ranked this. We're going to go get them this week. Let's go see who's really the better football player in the state of Tennessee. So for me, I would go take that challenge and lean on those guys, especially after the week Deshaun Bishop just had, where he rushed all over Florida like that. What's more demoralizing is, all right, we're going to attack you right where you're supposed to be. We're supposed to be your strength and beat you at it.
One reason things went well at Florida, it was a more creative offensive approach. Yep. Again, it sounds like I'm bashing this offense. It's the top offense in the SEC. It's 42 points per game. I get it. But at the same time, there are times where you look at it. I thought the low point for the season was the second half against Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. It looked like a team that's like, well, we just do what we do. Mm-hmm. The first half of Florida, complete opposite of that. Complete opposite of that. They were showing formations that you hadn't seen this year. They were setting plays up. They were creative in the run game. Yep. You had 3 guys touch the ball on one play, including the end around of Mike Matthews. Marlon, do you think they've learned their lesson and will continue to have motion, different formations to try and keep Vanderbilt off guard that way? There's a lot of talk of, well, it's tempo.
Yeah.
Well, it can be tempo, but it can also be you don't know where the ball is coming from, and we're throwing motion at you. We're giving you all kinds of stuff to look at.
John, I would say if Heupel reverses back this football game and goes back to, hey, we're going to do what we do, he is a stubborn guy. That means he's been watching the shows all this week and saying, okay, they say the real only reason why we won is we're creative. All right, I'm going to go do something different now and show you that we win. But I would hope so, John. Like that has been my biggest criticism of this football team, our football staff, is the lack of creativity. I get it. We've got our up-tempo and all the rest of that kind of thing. But once that stopped working on us and I felt like SEC play, that went completely down. Now I want to see my offensive guys be creative. And I thought the Florida game, we did an awesome job of that. And I also think that was like the dagger in Florida. The fact that they saw these different things, they probably prepared for this because they've seen this the last I don't know how many weeks in a row. Yep. And now Tennessee comes out and they're creative and we're getting different ways of getting the football to guys. And even though I just say, like, all right, I want to see us run the football, Ollie, you've talked about this all week. Like, we can be more creative in the run game to create more space for Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas. There's things I don't even think we've seen from a run game standpoint as far as creativity. So I think if Josh Heupel really wants to go knock the doors down, he know how important this football game is, the talking that's going on around this thing. Protect your players and be creative. Let's go out there and get an edge on them.
And I think that includes the use of Ethan Davis.
Yes.
I mean, he was an upgrade over Miles Kitselman.
He's
Not in terms of run blocking.
Yeah.
He was not as good a run blocker as Miles Kitselman. I think that's why they've gone with Kitselman all year. Maybe, as we discussed on our show, The Final Word, maybe there's some loyalty in there as well. Maybe one guy practices harder than the other one. But I don't think there's any question. You may be a better blocker, but in terms of making this offense more dynamic, in terms of making the defensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, look out. They're not going to be sitting there going, ooh, where's Miles Kitselman on this? You have a guy in Ethan Davis who, and you showed it on the first drive, where, we're just going to line him up here in the backfield as a blocker. And the next time you let him roll out there and catch that touchdown pass, that's something that a defense coordinator is going to have to think about. In terms of creativity, I want to see them continue to use Ethan Davis.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly to your point, we talk a lot about creativity in the run game. You need to see more of that creativity in the passing game as well, and that's getting Ethan Davis more active. I'd love to see the comeback of the pop pass to the tight end that we had years ago that we haven't seen recently. And then on top of that, I think everybody in the country now has seen the fake counter deep shot play. I mean, we've ran it about 100 times on everybody. Let's change up different ways how we're getting the ball down the field, because I think a team like Vanderbilt is going to be keyed up to that. They're going to be looking for plays like that. So, look, it's a very well-known – it's the last game of the season. You can't hold anything back at this point. go ahead and throw out everything in the kitchen sink at them.
Yeah, because your bowl game.
Yeah.
You could be playing in the Music City. You could be playing in the Citrus. You don't know who you're going to be playing. And you also don't know who's going to even go to those things, who's going to sit those things out. So, yes, this is your last one. Throw everything to the kitchen sink at them. In terms of Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt's quarterback, legitimate Heisman candidate. I think he's number 2 right now. I know the kid from Indiana's had a good year. What Diego Pavia has done in the SEC, I think that's greater degree of difficulty. So you're facing a guy today who has averaged about 400 yards the last 3 games against SEC competition. If you are Tim Banks, Marlon, are you more concerned, got about a minute here, are you more concerned with his arm and him throwing on your secondary, which seems to have gotten better the last couple of weeks, but they haven't faced a Diego Pavia passing attack? Or are you more concerned about his legs, not only running on you, but keeping plays open, keeping plays alive? Now you got to worry about your defensive backs plastering guys and not getting lost.
Well, as a former defender, I'll tell you the worst thing there is I've got my man covered. Everything's sealed up, and then the guy with the ball in his hand takes off and go get a big first down on you. That's demoralizing because you can't really coach against that, right? You're coached to cover my guy. We've got to contain the run, keep the running back at this amount of yards. But then when everything else breaks down and you've got a guy that's holding the football that can break you down as well and go get a first down, that is the most demoralizing thing as a defensive guy. So what I would say, what I'm most worried about is his creativity with the football in his hand. You've got to spy that guy today. Don't play that game of, you know what, we're Tennessee, you're Vanderbilt. We're just going to do what we do and we're going to stop you. This guy is a different kind of guy, and I've watched him all season long. He thinks a little bit differently, and so he is going to be a problem. He's going to be a mismatch. And I almost look at this game as if like you're facing a really star athlete on the basketball court. Hey, he's going to get his. Don't let anybody else get you. So that means if he's going to run the football, you make sure he keeps the ball in his hand. Not he's running around, we leave a guy uncovered, and now Pavia finds the guy. So,
you also need to make sure when he does run the ball, and I don't know if Tennessee has this guy, make him feel it.
That's it, most definitely.
You got to make him regret that he kept it and ran with it. All right, when we come back, we'll have more with Marlon and Ollie a little bit later, but let's talk more about Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers, the Vanderbilt defense. We've got a scouting report coming up next on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment is called the Scouting Report. We send it over to Will West at the Bandit Lights Bar to provide you with a scouting report of Vanderbilt.
Thanks, John. Here with Vince Ferrara, 99.1 The Sports Animal, Bob Hodge, all things Sports Source. Let's give you the scouting report for Vanderbilt. Vince, we'll start with you on this one. Diego Pavia. You have to start with him when you talk about Vanderbilt's resurgence. When Jerry Kill and Tim Beck have come into the fold under Clark Lee, Pavia over 1,000 yards total offense in his last 2 SEC games. Your thoughts on Vanderbilt's quarterback?
Yeah, and if you even go back to the last 3 games, in the month of November, nobody has thrown for more yards around the country than him. And here's the thing, he's a gunslinger, dual threat that can run the football, keeps plays alive, but he doesn't really put the ball in harm's way that much. For a guy that has that kind of style, it's really impressive how he protects the football, keeps plays alive. Tennessee's gotten better at tackling, but boy, they're going to need to be on point with him because he really doesn't help you. Reads the field pretty well, and then obviously keeps the plays alive. He's a handful, and been a program changer obviously too.
I look at him and I think, go to the TV, look at commercials, Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Because he is the one that is literally the heartbeat of that team. And now Vanderbilt's better. They've got a lot more than him.
Right.
But you can almost just see that team feed off of him. So not only does he throw the ball well, not only run the ball well, he also has an it factor that you really can't put into words. You can't define it. But whatever it is, he has it. And I think that is a huge difference maker in his game.
One thing Pavia does is they move the launch point a lot with him. You'll see him take 2 or 3 steps to the right as if he's going to run the football, hold your linebackers, hold your safeties, especially if you're in zone coverage. Everybody has to commit to Pavia running the football because he can just tuck it and run, and it usually leaves a receiver open somewhere downfield. So then they go to man coverage. The Pavia's going to run all day on you if you're in man coverage. It's those
And he really
basic
throws
laws of
well
football.
off platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is about as good as you're going to see, and it doesn't matter what level you're talking about.
And Bobby mentioned the energy. He does a lot on third down. They're the number one, I think Tennessee and Vanderbilt 1 and 2 in the SEC in third down conversions. So we've seen Tennessee give up some third and longs. That's where they get their energy from, is when he moves the chains. They're in a 3rd and 11, and then he makes a crazy play, either throwing or running, to move the chains. That's where I think Tennessee can be a little bit susceptible with those energy plays that he provides.
Bob, let's talk about Eli Stowers, tied in at Vanderbilt, by a country mile leading receiver, receptions and yardage, 4 touchdowns on the year. Your thoughts on Stowers?
A lot of people thought he was going to come out, go to the NFL draft last year, and he looked like a 5th or 6th round draft pick. This year, he looks to me like maybe the first tight end that will be drafted. He looks kind of like one of these top 20 guys. And I love Ethan Davis with Tennessee. He has that same stuff, but I think just maybe even a little bit better. I haven't watched every play that Vanderbilt's had this year. I've yet to see him drop a pass. I've seen him make outstanding catches. I've seen him get hit, lit up, stay on his feet, and gain another 15 yards. So to me, the weapon that he brings to you is just, for a guy who last year was pretty good college football player. This year, he's a great college football player, and I think isn't he a finalist for the Mackey Award
Yeah, I
too?
think so.
Which tells you a whole lot, because for him to come from being good to now being outstanding kind of tells you something about what's going on at Vanderbilt.
Well, and what he's really good at is, while Pavia is keeping plays alive, he's outstanding at those scramble drills and finding those open spots. Tennessee's probably going to play some zone in this game. They typically do in some form or fashion. They're not the best in that zone. So that's where they're dangerous. And then the red zone, too. He's a weapon, but he can hit you from long distance, has a 67-yard touchdown, too. So very versatile. The best tight end Tennessee has faced this year.
Yeah, look, the one thing that Stowers does that I think is really interesting is they will let him run. When you watch all 22 of Vanderbilt, he'll be the only guy on the field running a choice route. So you'll see him kind of run a crossing route, break completely out of seagrass, break completely off of his route, drop in the grass, and Pavia has the ball to him every time he does that. It's like those two guys are sharing a brain or something.
Right. And you usually think of 50-50 balls going to wide receivers. They throw him 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's defense. Interesting kind of to me, because I look at Vanderbilt's defense and I say, man, you guys give up a lot of points early, but then adjustments get made and you watch them really tighten down. One thing they do, they fight all over the field. All 11 guys do. Your thoughts on Clark Lee's defense at Vandy?
Yeah, they have some good stats. That they're not overwhelming in terms of a bunch of NFL talent, but they just have guys that are good football players and ballers. Pass defense is probably, when you look at their numbers and you say, all right, that's where they've given up some yards this year. So maybe that plays into Tennessee's strength. Does that bait Tennessee into feeling, all right, that's where we can take advantage of it? So if they start throwing, try to get to that Vandy pass defense, do they give up on the run too much? I don't know if that's the right approach, but I talked to Matt Sims, VFL, on our show, and he says he thinks that Vanderbilt's going to change the looks defensively and do a little bit of everything. Go from one front to another, not do just what Florida did and stayed that way with the 2 high safeties, not just crowd the box and dare them to throw like Kentucky did for whatever reason. So they're going to change it up constantly. So Tennessee's going to have to adjust because Vandy's defense will adjust.
This is where I give Tennessee a little bit of an advantage. I mean, I'm not belittling Vandy's defense. I think they're very tough. They're very hard-nosed. But I also think of the defenses that you've seen this year, and not many have given Tennessee a problem. But I think Vandy's would be well down on the list when it comes to overall talent that you have played. And once again, that's not taking anything away from them. They're hard-nosed, but this isn't the most athletic group that you're going to see.
It's not. When you look at Vanderbilt's roster, they're only 6% into the blue chip ratio.
Yeah.
So only 6% of their players are 4 or 5-star players at the beginning of fall camp this year.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting, because I look at Vandy and I think, oh, they brought in so much more talent now, Diego Pavia and Stowers. Not really. When you look at the entire roster across the board, Vanderbilt is kind of still a lot of 3
and once
and
again,
2-star
I think
guys.
that goes to coaching.
It does.
This is a very well-coached football team.
And old. And they're old.
They are very mature. You're right. When we return, John of the VFLs talk about the importance of today's game for Josh Heupel. Come on back here. Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called Volunteer Views. It's brought to you by VFL Daniel Hood Roofing. They've recently switched to Owens Corning products, which allows them to pass that savings along to you. Right now, their new roof prices are at a 3-year low. Give Daniel Hood Roofing a call this week, whether you're in Nashville, Knoxville, or any place in between. Daniel Hood Roofing, danielhood.net. All right, back with VFL Ollie Lane, VFL Marlon Walls over here. The Vols won at Florida for the first time in 22 years last weekend. They led by 31-0 at the half. They won by 20 in an SEC road game. Yet a lot of Vol fans still not satisfied, not thrilled about it. A lot of people were complaining that the victory just wasn't good enough. Suffice it to say, if Heupel isn't getting universal praise for winning 31-11 at Florida, he better beat Vanderbilt today. I mean, if you've got people grumbling about a 20-point win at Florida, I don't want to hear what it would be if Tennessee loses to Vanderbilt, even though it's a very good Vanderbilt team. I don't think anybody's going to care. It's just the name Vanderbilt. You should never lose to Vanderbilt is kind of the view. How big is this game for your former coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's made this game to almost a must-win situation. I mean, you'd like to say that the win against Florida is a big win, but you also got to take into consideration the status of where Florida's at. They don't have a head coach. They're 3-8 now, not looking at much. So that win, yes, while it means a lot to the people, the community, it doesn't show a lot for you as this game against Vanderbilt does. I mean, there hadn't been a higher stakes.
It does in my view, but I'm in the minority. So go ahead.
But there's never been higher stakes to a Vanderbilt-Tennessee game like this for the past however many years. You've got now, it's like the roles are flipped. You now get to play the role of the spoiler. But also, if you do not win this game, this is one that's going to continue to be talked about throughout the entire offseason because we've built the status that Tennessee does not lose to Vanderbilt.
Marlon, importance of this game?
Super important. I said last week when you asked the question, would you take a loss in Gainesville? That means you beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And the fans have proven me correct on this, and the fact that they're not happy with a 20-point lead in Gainesville. This game is important because recency bias, right? Tennessee fans believe in we don't lose to Vanderbilt. Like that's always been the running joke, and so now you have a competitive Vanderbilt team. And guys are now, saying, hey, we're Tennessee. We don't lose to Vanderbilt, even more so with Pavia being over there, the amount of attention Vanderbilt's getting right now. This Tennessee fan base is kind of fighting for their rightful place as the top guy in the state of Tennessee. So this year is super important because they are competitive. Yeah. And I don't know in fans' minds, even if you go out here and lose to this Vanderbilt team, you're going to be satisfied even after a big win at Florida.
Yeah, I think we did the poll last Sunday on the television show where he asked people, will the Florida game carry over if you lose to Vanderbilt? 19% said yeah. 81% said no, you can't lose to Vanderbilt. Now, part of that is that's just the reality of our sports world now that I don't care what you did last week, what are you going to do this week? Still, though, when you look at what Heupel has done this year, the fact that you could wind up with people barking all off season and people talking about coaching changes and stuff, I just think it's too far, but it is what's happening. Now, I will say this. A lot of people have said you should be in the playoff hunt every year. Here's the deal. You beat Vanderbilt, you're not going to make the playoff. Yeah. But you beat Vanderbilt, you're probably going to wind up ranked number 13 or 14 in the country. Yeah. There's only the top 12 teams that get in, and you get the group of five is going to knock some of those out. So technically, if you win this game, you would have competed for the playoff this year. Yeah. But no one's going to look at it that way because you would have you were coming out of the Vanderbilt game with your ranking as opposed to going in with that ranking. But this season, if they beat Vanderbilt, to get to 9-3, I said 8-4. Yeah. So to get to 9-3, you snap the streak at Florida. If you beat them, you're also looking at the fact that you're going to be ranked in the top 15, 14, 13 in the country. I just think it's crazy that we're even talking that a loss equals people shouting.
I know, and on top of that, you're one field goal direction away from beating a team like Georgia.
Yes, that's Georgia, right. You should have beaten
Georgia. And
having
a completely different outlook. So, I mean, to say this year is a disappointment, yes, you want to beat Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's a must-win. But when you look at all the noise you had in the offseason, what he's been able to accomplish so far, you get a quarterback that he was only here for 100 days for his first start, and he's done what he's done. I think you can't argue with that. That's still a proven good track record, but yet fans will still be upset because it is Vanderbilt. And this is the one year that Vanderbilt fans want to come out of the woodwork, act like it's a big deal. So now it makes us treat it more of like a big deal, when really in reality the last few years that had been a rivalry.
Well, yeah, it's changed again, but it was there for a while. But 30 seconds, Marlon. Diego Pavia running his mouth has also put pressure on Heupel because people want him shut up.
That's it.
You don't want him to talk and then come in and back it up.
Well, the worst thing that can happen is this guy comes in and wins, and with that kind of attitude that he have, you might get a flag planted in the middle of the field, and now you got a big issue. And again, it goes back to history. When has a Vanderbilt flag ever been planted at the University of Tennessee?
No.
That wouldn't be a good thing for hype. Well, that wouldn't be a good thing for this football team, especially because of the guy that's running the show over there and Diego Pavia.
That's also one where I think if you lose that game, Heupel may win some people back if he says, don't let them plant that.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
You get some guys suspended for a do-nothing bowl game, who cares? There would not be a flag planting on that field. All right. When we come back, we've got numbers you haven't seen anywhere else. We're going to use them to do the prop bets in today's game. Previewing what kind of points are going to be scored, how close is this game going to be. We still got predictions to come, keys to victory. We got it all. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our program is called By the Numbers. Tyler Ivins and his crew get you ready for today's game with some prop bets.
John Pennington, appreciate it as always. Inside the numbers, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive between Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Senior Day later this afternoon at Neyland Stadium. Bob Hodge, appreciate you. Welcome to the table. Will West from 99.1 The Sports Animal. Diego Pavia week. Look, I know it's so much more than that, but we got to talk about the Vanderbilt quarterback because he's got a lot of talking to do about the team here in Knoxville. Gentlemen, in 7 SEC games, Vanderbilt's quarterback has averaged 270 passing yards per game. On the flip side, though, Tennessee's defense has allowed 227 passing yards in those 7 league games. So, gentlemen, let's set the number. Meet in the middle. Over under Will West, 259.5 passing yards for Pavia this afternoon.
I'm going to take the under. I think that Tennessee's going to, what they do works well against Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. They're not going to bite on the on all the eye candy that they give you, moving Pavia around with the launch point, because Tennessee only sends 4 anyway. So that's, and they drop into zone so often. I think that means you won't have the guys that bust open. I think that Tennessee's going to do a solid job, and they don't have a ton of talent, physical talent in their wide receiver core, Vanderbilt. Give me the under.
I want to go with the over. And the reason is I think Pavia is very accurate. And I think Pavia will hit the over before the fourth quarter even gets there.
Wow.
I don't believe in Tennessee's pass defense. I do believe in their pass rush. I think they got a good front 7. I just think that Pavia is going to be able to find plenty of places to put the football.
I think he's clicking at the right time. Everybody knows I'm a Diego Pavia truther. I followed this guy since New Mexico State, and there were times with the Aggies and Jerry killing the CUSA. When it clicked, it was clicking. He had over almost 500 yards in the Auburn game, had over 500 yards in the Kentucky game. Can he go 3 out of the last 4 weeks of flirting with a number like that? He'll have to do it through the air if he wants to do just that. I'll take the over in this as well. Joey Aguilar, Bob Hodge, has 23 touchdown passes on the season, with Vanderbilt's pass defense ranking 15th in the conference. Only team that's actually behind him, Tennessee. So I want to ask you, we're talking about Joey.
Right.
Over under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Aguilar this afternoon.
I don't even think that's going to be hard.
Ooh.
I think that he gets well over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Tennessee's got a better ground game than Vanderbilt does. But I think 1.5 touchdown passes, yep, we're liable to see that one pretty early as well.
I think that is exactly spot on. I'm going to take the over as well. Part of it is Tennessee starts fast and then doesn't do anything in the second half. Vanderbilt gets beat fat, like early on, really gives up a big lead, and then they come back in the second half. It's like these two teams are built for this. I think this is a game where Tennessee scores in the 30s and Joey has at least 2, if not 3.
We could get a little bit more into this if we had the time about Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell in the first quarter this season, just how fast they can strike. We don't have that time today. I think that this is a very easy, attainable number. He'll get 1 in the first quarter, maybe sneaks 1 in before halftime. When we get into our score predictions, you're going to know why we like a whole lot of the air. At least that's where mine is leaning when it comes to the air.
My only concern with that number is watching what Auburn was able to do running the quarterback. Does Joey run for a lot of yards?
Tennessee leads the SEC, gentlemen, 42 points per game. Vanderbilt just behind them, 39 points per game. How about we set our own custom over-under today? Will West, 70.5 total points scored senior day at Shield Watkins Field.
I'm going to take under. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than that. I think that this is going to be something in the winning teams in the 30s, losing teams in the 20s. It's going to be something like that. Tennessee really seems to be bound and determined to slow things down. I also wonder, again, watching last year's game, is Vanderbilt physical enough to hang with Tennessee through 4 quarters if Tennessee's as healthy as they looked against Florida last week?
70.5.
Got to go over.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you could push that number up a little bit, and I would hang with over.
Adjusted totals.
I think that there is going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I don't think Tennessee's going to slow it down that much because they're not going to be able to slow it down that much because I think Vanderbilt's going to put points on the board. So I'm going to go with the over.
Score prediction coming up. Believe it or not, we go over the Vegas total. We go under our total. So if that doesn't give you an idea of where kind of just the margin of error is when it comes to potential turnovers, this might be a little bit of a hint, just under the 70.5. Haji, wrap us up here. It's been 11 years in this series that a game has been decided by single digits, but that also includes Vandy blowing out the Vols in 3 of those 11 years. The last single-digit game, gentlemen, you got to go back to 2014 when it was a 24-17 Tennessee victory. So Bob Hodge, over, under, will the winning team have a margin of victory of 9.5 points?
I am going to go under. I think it's going to be a close ball game that comes down to the very end. I think if it's within 3 points, won't be shocked. 2 points, won't be shocked. Anywhere, I don't think the winner wins by 9.5.
I'm going to take the over on this one. I'm going to follow the trends, and I'm not a big trends guy. I also just think that Tennessee's 2 scores better than Vanderbilt, not to get the score prediction early. Yeah. But I think Tennessee's going to beat them. I think that Tennessee's going to beat them by 2 scores.
Tight, like a tiger. Very, very tight. Tennessee gets an opportunity to get the last lap in this game. Spoiler alert. And I think it's one of those where Diego Pavia, we keep watching him on the sideline, biting his gums, knowing if he just had one more possession. But I think this is going to be won all the way through 4 quarters of football. And I like Tennessee, that coming up with our score predictions. Gentlemen, appreciate it as always. Right. Back to them where today, not only does John, Ollie, Marlon, and Will, they're going to talk about a keys to a Big Orange Senior Day victory for Tennessee up against Vanderbilt.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called The Keys to Victory. It's brought to you by Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat because they have the biggest selection anywhere, state of Tennessee. They have the best prices anywhere you'll find state of Tennessee, and they've got great customer service. Madisonville Marine. You can also check them out at madmarine.com. What are the keys for the Volunteers tonight? And I'll get you started by throwing out one that I've been throwing out for the last few weeks. Get off to a fast start.
Yeah.
Tennessee is averaging 14 points in first quarters this year. They did it in Florida, and it took Florida right out of the game. Yeah. I don't know that you're going to kill off Vandy, who's fighting for a playoff spot, and you got Pavia on that side. I don't think that's a team that's going to quit. No. Still, though, I'd rather be playing from ahead than playing from behind. So get off to a fast start tonight. That's my number one key. Ollie, what do you got for a key?
Part of getting out to that fast start, you got to make this game personal. I mean, you got to take in all those comments that he made in the offseason, everything that's still being said, the Vanderbilt fans that have come out of the woodworks that are now fully supporting the Commodores. You take that personal if you're a Tennessee football player and you say, no, we're in this conversation now. We are still Tennessee. We are the big brother, this and that and the other. And you go out there and you go on the full court press attack on them. You got to make this one personal. Take those comments. I don't feel like they took the comments that Mike Washington had at Arkansas
yep.
very personal, and it showed. This one, you got to take it personal.
Got to hope that's it. Because if they did take it personal and couldn't do anything about it, that's a concern for today. Yeah. Marlon, what do you got?
Man, I'm gonna say you've got to be able to withstand some blows. This Vanderbilt team is different than most Vanderbilt teams you've seen before.
Yeah.
We've seen it all year long. I've watched this team purposely because I was like in that mindset of it's still Vanderbilt. What week are they going to fold and go back to where they are? And this team's different. It's different. They're going to take some shots. They're going to get some plays on you, and you've got to be able to withstand those blows. This team is a very optimistic football team. They're going to get plays on offense, and with the guy that's in charge, that's running the show over there, Diego Pavia, he's a good enough talent to where no matter what you do, he's going to make some plays against you. You can't let those plays beat you twice. So you got to be able to stand those blows.
Good one. I'll go with protect Joey Aguilar, and I mentioned that because Vanderbilt, look, we did a thing on the Sports Source Digital Network, our YouTube channel this week, where you guys and Daniel Hood said there's no question dirtiest team in the league.
Yep.
When you were playing was Vanderbilt in terms of cheap shots, dirty tactics, things they would say just to try and get you off your game because there was usually a margin of difference in terms of the type of athlete. So we got to get you out of your game by any means necessary. Well, protect Joey Aguilar because this team knocked South Carolina's quarterback out of the game. They knocked Missouri's quarterback out of the game. And if they could knock Joey Aguilar out of the game, they would love to.
Yes.
So protect Joey Aguilar. And we've talked earlier this week, Ollie, you have concerns about not the quality of play of the offensive line, but it's the end of the year, you've started to get some guys banged up.
Yeah.
So that's going to be key for those guys to show up and protect.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really big game for them. Not only you got a good running defense, so you're going to have to make the holes wider for your running backs, but on top of that, you got guys banged up. You're already down to your last reserve, and that Sham Umarov. He's your reserve piece. You don't want to go any deeper than that. I mean, I think we saw a little glimpse of it when Sanders went out and Bennett weren't getting in. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And that's no knock on that kid. He's a younger kid, still kind of learning everything that he's got to do. But you can't afford to lose an offensive lineman in this game. And you've got guys, they've played throughout the entire season. There's nagging injuries. There's things that's eating you up and beating you up. This is a week where if you got a little hurt, a little discomfort, you can't be hurt. You can't play into it. Don't let the mental aspects of this is bugging me a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to go out and cut it loose because Joey needs them, and they're going to need them in a big way this week.
Marlon, we talked earlier in today's show. You've been harping on it for a while. Creativity.
Yep.
I know I'll let you handle that because I know you want to see more creativity in Ethan Davis or creativity in the run game. You want to see more of it.
Well, what I would say is this offense is a heck of an offense. It can play with anybody. When we're dialing it up, we're drawing things up, we're giving different looks. There were so many times this season and even last season where I watched this football team, this offensive football team that can score up in the 40s, get into a big game, and it's kind of stationary. You want those guys on defense moving around, confused. Hey, number 3 is here, 0 is here. Like, you've got to make those guys move around. You've got to make those guys confused. Give them something else to think about other than being able to just line up and tee off on you. And so Josh Heupel showed he can do that last week. I think he's got more tricks in the bag that he didn't have to show last week. I think we're going to see this week because this is your bowl game. This is your big game. No one's really watching anymore as far as the bowl games go, unfortunately, the way it's spoken about the playoff. So, like, this game is you cannot leave a bad taste in these fans' mouth going into this offseason because you were out-coached, not creative enough versus Vanderbilt, and they get a win at home.
I mentioned Aguilar already. He played well last week after a couple of shaky games against Oklahoma and New Mexico State. This Vanderbilt pass defense, not very good. Remember, Nico Iamaleava threw 4 touchdown passes against these guys last year. And he didn't throw a lot of touchdown passes last year. He got 4 against these guys. Aguilar needs to be on his game. You can't be hoodwinked by safeties rotating over. You can't be putting the ball up for grabs. You got to take care of it. Don't give them any turnover gasoline. If the turnover margin, you got to win that margin today to win this game. So I think a lot of this is, we've already said, you're probably going to wind up with Aguilar having to be the guy. Well, then he's got to be the guy. The guy we saw last week at Florida, which I thought, numbers-wise, it wasn't, but I thought that was his best performance because he was on the whole night, accurate, controlled. I thought you need that performance again this afternoon. Any other quickies?
I would say that the worst thing you can have happen is obviously you lose this game today versus Vanderbilt. The worst thing that can happen is they look more physical than you, where they're moving the line of scrimmage. Guys are not able to get off blocks. We talked about their run defense. They're standing our offensive line up, 2-gapping them, making plays in the backfield. That's not going to bode well. This is the Tennessee versus Vanderbilt game. You cannot have this football team come out and look more physical than the University of Tennessee on their field at home. So I think you've got to be able to throw punches. You've got to be the guys that has that mindset of we're going to dominate today. We're going to move the line of scrimmage. We're going to treat these guys like the little brothers they are.
All right. When we come back, prediction time. We're going to have everybody making their picks for Tennessee Vanderbilt. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment is called Who Wins and Why. It's brought to you by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive. Folks, they have a deal. They will beat any offer you get on a new Kia from any Kia dealer anywhere. So if you're not buying your new Kia at Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville off Callahan Drive, you're spending too much money. Let's start the predictions.
You're not going to get me this week. Tennessee 35, Vanderbilt 31. I think Diego Pavia has, in fact, played like the Heisman finalist. All season long, he has shut a lot of people up, and he's rightfully been allowed to run his mouth until today. I like Joey Aguilar to be able to outduel Diego Pavia. I like Tennessee's defense to finally be able to solve the enigma that has been DP. And look, I'm not going to go as far as saying it's same old Vandy. It's not same old Vandy. But if this game is played in Knoxville, I expect the home team to win, and the home team will win 35-31.
Tennessee 34, Vanderbilt 21. What Tennessee does plays right into the problems that Vanderbilt has. Vanderbilt can't take advantage of a team that only rushes 4 and drops 7 into coverage all day long with what they do. Tennessee will not bite on the coverage because their linebackers are already dropping into zone. So you're not going to be in man, so Diego Pavia is not going to be able to run, and Tennessee's offense looks healthy. Get me Tennessee winning this game by 2 scores.
Vince, I like Vanderbilt 42-37. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think you got questions on both sides of the ball defensively. I think you've got answers to those questions offensively for both teams. And just right now, I think the way Diego Pavia is playing, that to me gives Vanderbilt that little bit of an edge over what Tennessee's got. I think offensively Tennessee's up more talented, but I like Vanderbilt because of Pavia.
No, I mean, certainly what they've done this year, they are legit. You can't just say, well, they're Vandy, you're Tennessee. I'm going with Tennessee to win this game 38-35. I'm with you. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. And I've seen Tennessee's defense improve a little bit. Going into the Florida game, I actually thought, because the game was at home and the history of the series, that Tennessee had a better chance of beating Vanderbilt than they did at Florida. Tennessee, the complete game they played last week, showed me no different. So I think Tennessee will make the plays at the end and win a close ball game.
All right, thanks to the other crew over there. We got 1 pick for Vandy, 3 for Tennessee. Marlon Walls, what are you saying?
All right, I've got UT winning this football game 42-33. I think they're going to withstand some blows. I think Pavia's going to have a decent game to start out. I think in the end, the home crowd jumps behind them. We make them make a couple mistakes. We take advantage of those mistakes to win the football game.
Ollie Lane.
Taking Tennessee, I'm taking them 41-38. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch, but I think it is going to come down to does Max Gilbert hit the field goal or not. And I'm believing in him that he's going to hit the field goal this week.
Yeah, and when you said that in between segments here, that flipped me. I'm very close on this one. I think Vanderbilt is a legit team. It's just hard for me to see them coming into Neyland Stadium. I also remember they were a pretty good team last year, and you waxed them.
Yeah.
The Gilbert thing worries me. I hate to do it. Hope I'm wrong. I'll take Vandy 35-34. So that is my prediction for today. You can send me comments somehow, but I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Hopefully Gilbert can win this one. I do want to say one question, and I'll ask you quickly. How do you approach Pavia? How do you think they're going to try and attack him? If it's going to be that mush rush kind of thing, I mean, you've either got to keep contained or do that mush rush, which I don't know that works. What are you going with?
I think the best way to do that as a defense is don't settle your rush. Go rush, play your football game, throw a lot of pressure at him, make him move around, get him off his spot, and then on the back end, you've got to have some really good zones. You've got to have good man coverage going on. But expect your front 5 or 6 to take care of Pavia as far as attacking them. Let those guys on the back end cover, don't lose coverage.
Very good. Ollie, thank you. Marlon, thank you all year. If we get a bowl game, I'll have you guys back. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with a non-preview show. Saturday Kickoff will be year-round, of course. And you can see the Sports Source will react to today's game tomorrow at 11 a.m. on WATE 6 in Knoxville. Or you can watch it in the afternoon by about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on the Sports Source Digital Network on YouTube. We will see you then. Thanks for watching. Go Vols.